there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is The Pelican Brief by John Grisham. This is his third book that he published, behind A Time to Kill and The Firm, and this pertains to the wants and desires of those within the establishment and within the legal system to begin with. We follow the president, his chief of staff, and their response to the assassinations of two Supreme Court justices. They are Abraham Rosenberg and Glenn Jensen. Abraham Rosenberg is an old left-thinking justice who is really beginning to age, whereas Jensen is not as left-thinking. He's young, but his homosexual activity that they caught him engaged in made him a target for somebody that may have wanted to off him. And the president in this case is a Republican. He goes unnamed, but I have speculation that this president was based off of George H.W. Bush, because the Pelican Brief was released in 1992, and this president was a vice president for 8 years prior, and is getting ready to run for re-election in the context of this book. So, when you put the numbers together, that would be his structural basis. However, as a president and as a character, he's very generic. He's got a sense of humor, which can be seen through the when he and his chief of staff, named Fletcher Cole, are discussing justice nominees, which he's, as much as he expresses being saddened by the deaths of Rosenberg and Jensen, this is an opportunity for this unnamed president to make a stamp on the future of the Supreme Court. And while they have appointed people that have been able to shift, in this day and age, it's very partisan the way that justices are selected. And even if they're meant to reach over to the other side, there are strings attached, but they're making the best effort to make it so that the party in power is able to appoint Supreme Court justices when the president has the Senate on their side, as far as party lines are concerned. This president is concerned most about his reputation, getting reelected, and golf. So he's very generic in his personality and what one would expect from somebody who is slimy behind the scenes. And this book does a very fine job giving us what we would imagine happens behind the scenes. But a lot of that is based off of speculation. But John Grisham was a representative. He was a Democratic representative from Mississippi from 1983 until 1990. But while all of this is taking place, a law student from Tulane University named Darby Shaw is in a relationship with one of her instructors named Thomas Callahan. Thomas Callahan is left-thinking in his ideology, and you can see that within within the classes that he is teaching. He idolizes Justice Rosenberg and is incredibly saddened by his death. Darby Shaw, she's able to read documents. She can't take them out of the office, but she has time to be able to go in, look them over. And she puts together a brief that would be called the Pelican brief because of the connections in the state of Louisiana, which is the Pelican state. She puts together a theory as to who it was that is behind the assassinations of these Supreme Court justices, and for that she ends up becoming a target and a threat, and ends up being on the run upon escaping a dangerous situation that would have gotten her killed. While she is on the escape, Gray Grantham from the Washington Post is looking to break the story pertaining to the scandalous connections that have taken place as a result of that led to the murders. And this is his opportunity to put together and break a major story that he feels will solidify him within his realm. But it also provides him the opportunity to connect with Darby Shaw, where he's able to do so because she's in a threatening situation. He could end up, puts himself in a threatening situation, and anybody that is in contact with her is putting themselves in harm's way. Overall, I think that John Grisham is amazing with how he lays out his subject matter, especially when it comes to legal issues. I think that anybody that reads John Grisham's work is bound to get a clearer understanding about the legal system. In this case, we learn more about the process of how they select Supreme Court justices. And he does a fine job laying out each of the justices in the court. We get an idea of how shady things are behind the scenes and how slimy they can get. And we also get a clear understanding of the different factions that may be antagonizing circumstances for their own individual wants and desires, and what they are willing to do in order to fulfill what they want or desire, and what happens as a result, be it to them or to those around them or to society in general. My criticism is the fact that a lot of these characters, they could have, in my mind, could have been a bit more solid as far as dimension is concerned. Some of them take on the role of types because the need to fulfill their titles is very overwhelming. However, there are moments where they will steer away from these circumstances, and it didn't feel like there were any tropes within this piece. And I think that John Grisham does a fine job preventing that from happening and giving you an idea as to what it is, what the cycle feels like. However, he also does a decent job incorporating humor and reality to the circumstances at hand. Based off of those factors, as well as my reading experience, I'm rating this book 4 stars out of 5. Compared to his other works of fiction, in particular legal fiction, I preferred A Time to Kill over the Pelican Brief because I felt that A Time to Kill had more. I think that the dimension in those characters was much more in depth, and there was a greater sense of intensity on that front. But I did prefer the Pelican Brief to the Firm. And I think that I would give this a bit of an upper hand compared to The Brethren, which was the other legal fiction book of his that I've read. I also read Playing for Pizza and The Innocent Man. The Innocent Man was nonfiction. And I think, and at the moment, that is the best book of his that I've read. I would encourage you to pick this up and read this as you're making your way through John Grisham's backlog. And I want to thank you for tuning in to this review. If you like what you see, please subscribe for more. I have a great team of contributors that have a lot to offer. And if you really like what you see, please support us on our Patreon, for the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. For now, keep reading.